Hi, I'm Kayla, and tonight I'm going to tell you about our Fourth Amendment rights. So, I kind of have a passion for the Constitution. It's probably something I should seek help for, or at least try to get a new hobby, but I'm okay. Why am I okay with this? Because it means I know things like how to avoid screwing myself when my Fourth Amendment rights come into play. If you don't know, the Fourth Amendment is in the Bill of Rights in the United States Constitution. The Bill of Rights was added by the Anti-Federalists who believed that the government would become powerful enough to get rid of our rights, basically. And they have. So basically, our Fourth Amendment rights read, "The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized." Basically, what this means is unless a law enforcement official has probable cause or a warrant, you may not be searched, your home, your vehicle, none of it. And your things may not be seized. Okay? I mean, it's pretty fucking simple, but apparently not some people. The Fourth Amendment has its roots in English law, or common law. Like Semane's case from 1604. This dude, Richard Gresham, and this guy, George Beresford, were roommates in London. And when Beresford died, he left his things to Peter Semane. So Peter Semane sued to have these things brought to him, which is fine and dandy. But the London sheriff, who had the writ, a valid writ, to grab these things, burst in the house unnecessarily. Which, this is basically the precedent for the knock and announce rule. Then there's Entick v. Carrington from 1765. Basically, Carrington was the king's chief messenger. I've recorded this like 8 times in the past hour, and probably 12 times today, and I cannot get that right. But anyway, he's the king's chief messenger, and he and his buddies forced their way into John Entick's, a writer, his home, and fuck shit up in an effort to, and I quote, "make strict and diligent search for the author or one concerned in the writing of several weekly, very seditious papers entitled The Monitor or British Freeholder." Basically, they're looking for a writer of sedition. And they weren't going to take very kindly to that. So, under orders from Lord Halifax, the new Secretary of State for the Northern Department, they took about 100 pamphlets, 100 charts, and caused about 2,000 pounds worth of damage. Yeah, no wonder Entick sued for trespassing. So Carrington, because he was all full of himself and shit, said, "Well, it's cool, brah, because Halifax said we could, so we can." And Lord Camden, the gentleman who presided over the trial, was like, he had no statute or precedent to issue such a warrant, so no, you were not right. Obviously, the court sided in Entick's favor, and what came of it was a rule that the state cannot do anything except what it is expressly authorized to do, whereas we as individual citizens can do whatever we want except what is expressly forbidden by law. So that's all fine and dandy. Basically, there have been a lot of issues with the Fourth Amendment recently. Like the guy who got pulled over at the traffic stop. Well, he knew his rights, and the cops didn't like that. So they had him pull over, and they basically searched his car for drugs. Then they found the camera, and they were like, "Oh shit, Are you fucking stupid or what? Jesus Christ. So, that was a thing. I don't know if you've seen the video. I'll add the link to the end of the video. For this video specifically. I'll put it in the information or details or summary, whatever the hell they call that. Anyway, so I personally have actually had a situation where I had to deal with my Fourth Amendment rights and the Fourth Amendment rights of the people I work for. What happened was this guy basically came up and said, the gist of it was, I'm a cop, so you know you have to let me in, right? I'm like, actually, no. Anyway, I've had to cut and splice this, so it may be a little off, and I'm sorry if there's a continuity issue. Anyway, so to the cop, I replied, actually, no. Because, number one, this is private property. Number two, you are not here on official business. Number three, you are out of your jurisdiction. Number four, you have no probable cause. Number five, you have no warrant. So no, sir, I do not need to allow you in. And that's how me, knowing my rights, basically worked out in a favorable stance for the people I work for. I can't exactly explain what I do, but yeah, so that happened. Anyway, because I knew my rights, that worked. But a lot of people don't know their rights. So I'm going to help you out, and I'm going to tell them to you. I would honestly suggest pulling out a notepad and making a list. You have the you have the right to refuse to consent to a search. It doesn't matter why you refuse. And if they carry out the search later, if they carry out the search anyway, this may become important later. When the police come to your house, instead of inviting them in, you have the right to step outside and lock the door behind you while you talk to them. When you get pulled over, you don't have to open your door or roll your window all the way down. If it's cracked enough to hear each other properly and to pass paperwork, you're good. You don't have to answer unnecessary questions like how old are you single, whatever. If they're not vital to the situation at hand or they don't seem vital, ask, is this a necessary question? If it is, be respectful and reply, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Don't volunteer information. You have the right to ask what they pulled you over for. You have the right to ask if you're being detained. If the answer is no, you're good. You can leave. If they don't reply, ask again. And remember to be respectful, because being a dick won't get you anywhere. And actually, it'll probably screw you. If they say no, you may leave. If they don't answer, you can keep asking. If you are being detained, you can ask why. You have a right to know. Keep your hands on the wheel when the cop or where the cops can see them. That way they don't get suspicious, and they're a lot more likely to just be okay about things. Otherwise, I mean, it could look like you're going for a weapon or something, and they're like, oh, no, don't like that. Anyway, so law enforcement officers can actually conduct searches without warrants. I'm sorry, not without warrants. Without consent for several different reasons. For instance, if they have a search warrant, which is an affidavit allowing law enforcement officers to search the specific thing listed in the warrant based on a presentation of a law enforcement agent of probable cause to suspect a specific violation of the law will be discovered. Okay. So if the warrant's for your home, basically they cannot search your vehicle and vice versa. If you get pulled over at a traffic stop, they can basically search every part of your person and your vehicle if they feel that they have probable cause. And probable cause is an extremely gray area, so if you try to contest it, you're basically not going to get anything done there, which fucking sucks, but still. But if you smell like you bathed in whiskey and then you go drive around and get pulled over, the cop can cite possible driving under the influence to search your person in your vehicle, and that's that. Anyway, the cops can also search you without consent under exigent and emergency circumstances, like if they can see or hear somebody being murdered or something of the like. The in plain sight rule, which is if the cop sees an illegal item or an illegal act during an interaction with you. Like, for instance, if you're, come to the door when the cops are there and they see your grandma shooting heroin, he can search and seize the contraband because you and your grandma were dumbasses. If you get pulled over and they have probable cause to believe you're driving hammered or something, they can actually check the area within your reach or control for anything you have stashed, as per, I think it's Kimmel v. California or Kimmel v. California. Chimel. All I know is it looks a little bit like camel. Okay, yeah, in Wyoming v. Houghton, the court also ruled that the cop may inspect personal belongings, like your purse or your backpack or your passenger's purse or backpack, if they have probable cause to search the rest of the vehicle. So don't think that stashing your crack pipe in your purse is a smart idea. The plain feel rule, during a pat-down conducted by the officer, when they feel you have a weapon on you or something, they can seize any crack pipes or whatever that they find. This is usually utilized in traffic stops. Or I'm sorry, not usually, but often. After you've been arrested, the cops can search your person and the surrounding area for weapons and contraband. If your vehicle is impounded, they can search every single bit of it. Hell, if, the trunk actually is an iffy topic, but for the most part they can search it. So basically, best rule of thumb, don't drive around with dead bodies in your car. Or have dead bodies rotting in your house. Unless you're Jeffrey Dahmer, because honestly, okay, I read a lot. In his case, he had kidnapped a 14-year-old boy, Conrack, something like that. Anyway, so the kid was drugged out of his mind, naked, bleeding, all that crap. And he escaped from the apartment. And 2 hookers found him, so they called the cops. Cops came out, and Dahmer was like, oh, he's my boyfriend, we're drunk, and we just had a fight, or blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so if the cops had gone up to his apartment and realized, hey, this place smells like rotting bodies and necrophilia and cannibalism, that kid might be alive. So yeah, I don't know why I'm telling you this. I just went ADD right there. I'm like 50 minutes from getting off my shift. So anyway, that's your Fourth Amendment right for you. Fourth Amendment rights. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to help. If you'd like any links as to what I've talked about here, I can give those to you as well. All right, you have a good night. How do I turn this damn thing off?